Welcome to Picture Books Are Precious, the podcast that celebrates the art of storytelling for young minds. Hosted by author, illustrator, and a publisher, Terrie Sizemore. Each episode features meaningful conversations with new and seasoned creators, along with insights into writing, publishing, and inspiring young readers through books and creativity.
Hi, I'm Terrie Sizemore, back with Picture Books Are Precious. And today we have author and musician and a very multi-talented lady, Sherry Ellis, and she's here to tell us about her book. She is an award-winning award-winning author for children's books, and she writes middle grade books as well. Tell us about yourself, Cher.
Well, hi, Terrie. Thanks for having me here. So my journey as an author started over 20 years ago. I was sitting in the rocking chair one night with my son, who was about 3 months old, and he was a terrible sleeper, and he just kept getting me up. So for some reason, this poem started going through my head, and it went like this. I was sleeping in my bed, and a dream was in my head when, wah, that baby cried, and mama sighed, that baby's up again. So what happened was every time he woke me up, I would add a little bit more to this poem. And after a week, I had the whole thing in my head. And that's probably where it would have stayed. But I decided to share it with my daughter, who was just 3 years old at the time. And she said, Mom, that's really great. Why don't you make this a book? And so then the light bulbs went off in my head. I'm like, oh, okay. So that's how the journey started. And that was the result was my first book, which was That Baby Woke Me Up Again.
That Baby Woke Me Up Again. I thought Mama Was a Grouch was your first book.
No, Mama Was a Grouch was my second book. Here's the second book.
Oh, yeah.
So what happened with Mama is a Grouch, I just loved doing it so much. I thought this was kind of fun. And one day when I was walking through the living room and there were a bunch of toys scattered all over the place, I was carrying my basket full of laundry. I didn't see one of the toys. I tripped on it. The basket of laundry went flying and I whacked my toe against the sofa, ended up breaking my toe. Oh, so I was the grouchy mama. Right. So the inspiration for the book. And basically what I wanted to do was kind of show the importance of why kids should clean up their toys and stuff. So that ended up winning an award for Mom's Choice Award. So that was my second book. And I just kind of kept going from there. My third book was 10 Zany Birds. And that is basically a counting color classification book. It's kind of teaching kids all these basic concepts. The inspiration for that one was I received a birthday invitation from my daughter, and it had these cute little birds on it. And I thought, well, that's a great little thing to use to have different colors and patterns and stripes and spots, and they can fly away and do crazy things. So that was how I got the inspiration for that. And then Don't Feed the Elephant was the fourth book. And that one is more of an alphabet book.
Go back to the Zany Birds. Do you have a copy of that book with you?
You have Zany Birds.
Your artist wasn't
actually, did I forget to go get it? You'd have to wait for a second if I go get it. I don't actually have it.
That's okay. So tell us about Don't Feed the Elephant.
Don't Feed the Elephant is an alphabet book. And I wanted to create another concept book. And so what I did was, I don't know, I guess I went to the zoo or something and saw an elephant and he was eating something. I'm like, oh, this would be really cool. What would an elephant do with food groups that start with every letter of the alphabet? So I had to think of food that started with every letter of the alphabet and then just crazy things the elephant can do with it. And I had just so much fun writing this, just, spinning donuts on his tusks or throwing meatballs or just crazy stuff. And I had to think of what would start with the letter X, a zigwa melon. Have you ever heard of that?
No.
Yeah. So I really had to stretch my imagination with that, but it was a lot of fun to write. After that picture book, then I started going more into the middle grade reading level. And that led to the Bubba and Squirt Adventure books. And those are educational. There's an adventure where they go to the different countries. They learn about the history, culture, language of the countries and have an adventure. Each one of those has a recipe in it, some history about the country, a glossary and a dictionary in the back with words from the country. So it was very fun for me to do that because I enjoy traveling and I enjoy learning things. So I kind of wanted to do that. So those are a step up from the Magic Treehouse series, but not quite as high as something like Harry Potter or the Rick Riordan stories.
Sure. Well, I read those as well. I think I sound like a broken record because I'm always going back to how valuable the children's books are. They not only they teach, like you said, the concepts, the alphabet or numbers or colors, things about nature, have fun pictures in there. They're engaging the child in the story and in the fun of the story and learning the vocabulary, like you said. And I think the pictures, I just wrote a book myself, putting the pictures in picture books. I'm not sure if it can
Yeah.
putting pictures in picture books because they're not just add-ons. Your books are filled with very colorful pictures helping to tell the story and engage that child and making reading really fun. And that I think, and you talked about reading them with your children. I know a lot of parents feel that they're so busy, they don't have time to read. But like I even mentioned on different podcasts, it only takes like 5 to 12 minutes to read a picture story with our children, and they gain so much. And so then I think what you kind of help us see is that those picture books are a great foundation for the young reader, and then they turn into your middle book reads, which I think are very wonderfully written. And I know you've won awards for them. Your first book, Big Dig to China, was about all those statues too. You incorporate a lot of, like you said, historic history and fun facts about interesting things in that culture. And then the Mayan adventure, the City of Bones, Shield of Athena, and the Legend of the Lost Pearls. And you tie in all the stories to the children being on an adventure to getting their dad rescued and get him back and the family back. But it's a magical way that they're digging a hole in the backyard, if I remember correctly.
Right, right. And it leads them to all these different places. The magic shovel. So there's an element of magic in there too. And children learn that they actually have some powers. Like Bubba learns how to levitate things, and Squirt can read minds and tell telepathic and just kind of neat stuff like that. So it has those kind of supernatural elements in it that I think kids really enjoy.
Sure. And not only that, that you have a brother and a sister doing something together, having some fun adventure together, and they support each other, they talk to each other, they're kind of very sweet to each other. And I think that's a really nice thing that you bring into your books as well.
Right. I mean, you have a little bit of, bickering, bantering that's typical of siblings, but under all of it, they care about each other. They're supporting each other. They're there for each other. And that's really what I wanted to get across. And they really grow together through the adventures.
Yes. And you have some future plans too with writing, I know you said. Tell us about that.
So I have a couple of picture books. I have a middle book idea. So my next one, I have Happy Birthday to Us. It is a patriotic one for the 4th of July. And it's a story about a child whose birthday is the same day as the 4th of July. So there's all kinds of celebrations going on. He's trying to understand it's the whole world celebrating because it's my birthday. And it gives a little bit of history of the 4th of July. So I'm working on that. It's just about done, trying to find a publisher for that. I have another book. It's kind of been on the back burner, a picture book called Chickens Sleep on Sunday. That's about the days of the week. And it's just a kind of a silly book about, they learn the days of the week, but it's a funny chicken story.
Those are sound really darling.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, we'll see if they get published. But yeah, those are the picture books. And then I have a step up, might be a chapter book, might be a middle grade book, maybe a series called the Flower Fairy Academy. And, kids like fairies, especially girls. But this one is also going to be educational, that they're going to learn about how to take care of plants. So there's a school kind of thing in there, and then an adventure that goes with it. So kind of learning about different plants, how to take care of them, nature things. So I'm kind of doing some research on that and toying with that idea. Going on a little bit further from there, I'm thinking about branching into YA/adult and doing some historical fiction. So what the working title is that I have is Return to Sapelo Island. It would be a historical fiction based in the Civil War period.
Wow.
Yeah, so some of it is with the Geechee people on Sapelo Island, some Civil War families, how they were affected by it, maybe even a romance story that goes in there. So I'm writing a bunch of notes for that. So I've got all these things going on, and then I'm also writing a memoir. As you know, my son passed away, and I'm kind of writing my experience with that, and maybe hoping to help people with that. So I've got all of these different things going on, like lots of pots boiling on the stove or something, simmering on the stove. So we'll see what happens.
Well, I
Not sure
think
what to
that's
do.
really exciting. You're very talented, and I love how you incorporate real life into the stories too. And it kind of inspires the readers to do those things for themselves as well. I think that's a really great thing. It teaches a lesson like picking up your toys or understanding that babies are going to wake us up
Mhm.
and to our food groups, our days of the week. And I know that your memoir about your son will touch the hearts of a lot of people because loss is something, I wrote a book about grief myself, and it's a little off of the picture book theme, but nobody told me grief was forever. And I
Mm.
I guess I what I mean by that is the extreme grief didn't last forever. However, how do you ever stop missing somebody that you love? And that's impossible. And so every day we're reminded of the people that we love and lose. And so I know that people will identify with your journey that way as well.
Yeah, that's what I'm hoping for. I know it might just end up being a therapeutic thing for me, but still, it's a good thing to be doing, and maybe it will someday help people who are dealing with that too.
Oh, I'm 100% certain. I've worked with a ghostwriter. She's one of the guests on one of the podcasts. And she said that every single writer that she's helped with their stories, they have said they were grateful to write it. It felt like a real project when they were doing it, but when people came up to them and said how much they identified with the story, it was very meaningful. And I think that will be meaningful to you as well.
Yes.
So I think a lot of your writing is based on experience, like being a mom and having those mom experiences and things like that, and fun with the kids at the zoo. So I think a lot of authors do find things to write about that they have interest in as well. But you have so much interest in music. Do you ever intend to write a children's book about music?
That is so funny. Everybody always asks me that. When are you going to write a children's book about music? When are you going to do that? I love teaching. I love performing, but I don't know if I'll ever write a book about music. I know there's a lot of them about composers and all that kind of stuff. I know there was one, The Man with the Violin, about stopping to listen to the music. So I don't know. I haven't been inspired yet to do it, but who knows? Maybe I will. Yes, it's something I know. It's something. I'm a professional musician. It's what I do every day. So we'll see.
Yes, and a wonderful musician. I know you've won a lot of awards and you're very talented. So,
Thank
and you're
you.
a very good teacher as well. And it comes through in your writing that you want the children to learn. And I don't know, um, I guess I agree with you. I'm not sure. I guess I would do more fun with the music. You know what I mean? But it's hard to do music in a book because music is something we hear and not
Right.
something that we just read about. But I'll bet you can put a really interesting spin on something fun that has to do with a child who doesn't want to play that piano or doesn't want to play that violin, but they learn to love it. And I remember I was watching a movie once and it said, you have to love your instrument. You have to sleep with it. And that was so funny because I slept with my violin for years because it was just happened to be in the bed with me. When she said that, I thought, oh, I sleep with that. Obviously, you can't sleep with a piano, but it's, I think they're just to instill that love of music into the children would be kind of interesting as well.
Yeah, yeah. I'll have to think a little bit more on that. I know there's some books about instruments of the orchestra too, and the sounds they make, and animals kind of going in with it somewhere. So I could probably play around with it. But I'm working on all these other things, so that'll
Yeah.
be somewhere else in the future.
Yes. So talking about the picture books, how did you find your artists? I know one was on an expert publishing thing, I think so, and then you found a watercolor artist too for your Zany books who did a beautiful job with the art.
Oh yeah, she was fantastic. So the first artist I got through Create Space. They had a whole list of illustrators, and I just kind of picked one based on what genre the book was, what kind of style that it was. So he did the first one, and then I thought it was pretty good for the first one, so I just decided to go with him for the second one. For Zany Birds, I had actually joined an online platform called Book Jacket, and I met a lot of people through that. And one was a watercolor artist named Charu Jain, and she's from India. And I just loved her work. And she had actually done a lot of watercolor birds. And I thought, well, she's used to doing birds, so she'd be perfect for this. So I
Yeah.
contacted her and I said, "Hey, Charu, I'm a picture book author. I'm looking for an illustrator. Have you ever illustrated a book? And if would you be interested in doing this?" And she's like, "I've never illustrated a book, but I would love the chance to illustrate a book." So it was a big learning experience for her. 10 Zany Birds was her very first book. She has since gone on to illustrate a lot of other books, but it was a lot of fun, working through the process. Yeah, there were some bumps here and there as she was learning and all that kind of stuff, and she needed somebody to help her format the book. But it's a fantastic book, and it kind of has like a retro feel. And everybody who sees those illustrations, like they love that it doesn't look like it's just computer generated; it's hand done, and it just is so colorful and so fantastic. I've been talking to her. She wants to illustrate more for me, so we may collaborate again. But that's how I found her. And then I think that the e-publishing experts was another person from India who I met on Jacket Flap, and we just kind of became friends. And he had done some kind of book trailer for me, and I had mentioned that I was doing this elephant book, and he said, "I'd love to illustrate that." So I ended up going with him. He did a nice job too with the illustrations on Don't Feed the Elephant.
Yes, I know they really are darling. I thought of that the first time I saw the book. The illustrations are just beautiful. That's the book we're going to read today. We're going to have a short reading time and then a little activity with that book. So let's take a moment to break right here and read that book, okay?
Today I'm going to read from my book, Don't Feed the Elephant. If you happen to meet an elephant and he asks for a snack, tell him no. He'll want animal crackers, brownies, and a bag of cotton candy. He'll beg and plead and say, "Pretty please," with sugar on top. But don't do it. Oh no, don't you do it. If you do, he'll suck up the animal crackers with his trunk and fire them at your belly button. He'll chew the ooey gooey brownies and give you a great big chocolatey smile. Then he'll smooch you until your face looks like it's made of chocolate. You might look cute until he takes the cotton candy, makes a wig, and puts it on your head. Then you will be an icky, sticky mess. If the elephant asks for donuts, eggs, French fries, and gumballs, tell him no. If you don't, he'll spin the donuts on his tusks and juggle the eggs and French fries at the same time, all while blowing the biggest bubble you've ever seen. But then he'll get dizzy and drop everything. Pop, plop, slop. You might think it would be okay to feed the elephant hamburgers, ice cream, and jelly, but it's not. If you do, he'll take the hamburgers and throw them like frisbees. Then he'll make himself an ice cream cone hat. And do you know what he'll do with the jelly? Bounce on it. If you happen to meet an elephant and he asks for a kosher pickle, lemonade, and a meatball, tell him no. If you don't, he'll take a bite of the kosher pickle and spit it out because he forgot he doesn't like kosher pickles. Then he'll slurp up the lemonade, pucker up, and make lemonade rain. And do you know what he'll do with the meatball? Kick it. But then he'll slip on the lemonade, land on his bottom, and squish the kosher pickle. The elephant may ask for noodles, onions, popcorn, and quiche. He'll beg and plead and say, "Pretty please with the cherry on top." But don't give him any of it. If you do, he'll take the noodles, tie them together, and use them as a jump rope. He'll get tangled, trip, and land on his head. Then he'll eat the onions and blow stinky breath in your face. But do not complain. If you do, you'd better run. A popcorn and quiche tornado will come your way. You may think it would be okay to feed the elephant ravioli, spaghetti, or tacos, but it's not. If you do, you will need a lot of napkins to clean the slippery, tomatoey mess he will make. If the elephant asks to make a dessert with upside-down cake, vanilla wafers, and whipped cream, absolutely positively tell him no. Elephants are not good cake decorators. Finally, if you happen to meet an elephant and he asks for zigua melon, yogurt, and zebra cakes, tell him no. If you don't, he'll mix them all together, eat them, and get a sick tummy. Besides, if a zebra happens to see the elephant eat zebra cake, the zebra will get very upset. She'll show her teeth, kick her feet in the air, and squeal as loud as she can. Never make a zebra angry. So, what do you do if you happen to meet an elephant who asks for a snack? Smile politely and tell him no. The end. Today I'm going to show you how to make a cute little craft to go with my Don't Feed the Elephant book. To make this little guy, you're going to need to gather your supplies. You'll need a couple pieces of construction paper, Google Eyes, a glue stick, pencil, marker, and scissors. First thing you'll do is roll up a piece of construction paper for the body. So I like to put the glue down first, like that, a couple times. And then I'm going to roll up the paper. Next thing you'll do is draw on the feet. Next, you'll make the ears. Take a piece of construction paper and fold it in half. And then you can draw the ears. You can make this little part here, and then something that looks like elephant ears. After you cut out the ears, they'll look like this. Then you could just add a little bit of lines to make them look a little more like ears. A little arch here, and a little one here. Then you glue on the ears. Put it down a little bit, like so. Next, you make the trunk. This could take a little bit of the same color construction paper and make a thin line and kind of round the ends. Then you could draw a few lines on that to make it look like a real trunk. Now we're going to glue on the trunk. You could kind of turn up the ends and make it look like the elephant's doing something. Now the fun part is gluing on the eyes. And it starts to look like a real elephant. The last thing we'll do is make the tusks. So I cut out a little triangle shape like this out of a white paper, and then I cut it in half, and each one of these will be the tusks. And this is what it looks like after the tusks are glued on. And that's how you make a paper elephant.
Okay, we're back with Sherry Ellis. And so our last topic, we hope that you enjoyed. Don't feed that elephant. And we're going to have a small activity that goes along with that as well. So Sherry, but I know that you are an award-winning author. So you have gone to different contests and you've been very successful that way. Tell us about the contest and your success there.
So one of the best ones that I've done was Reader's Favorite. So Reader's Favorite has two parts to it. You can get your book reviewed and you can get a 5-star book review. And that's kind of an award in itself. You get a little thing you can put on, a little metal thing that you can put on your book. But I also did it, part of the contest was to have judges look at the book and evaluate it. And Big Dig to China actually got a silver medal in one of the categories. So I got to go to Miami to get my award. It was this fancy thing, you know, you'd wear your ballroom gown and everything and go on the stage and get your medal. Yeah, it was like a red carpet affair. So
wow,
that was really fun. So that was probably the most impressive award that I got. I also have done Purple Dragonfly Book Awards, which is really nice for children's authors. I've gotten first place on that for many of my books. And that's always fun. So That Mama is a Grouch won first place in parenting. And then 10 Zany Birds won second place in picture book. And then my Bubba and Squirt's Big Dig to China won first place in middle grade. And I think I got an honorable mention for City of Bones in that one. Yeah. And then I also did Mom's Choice Awards for That Mama is a Grouch, and it won first place for that. So that was exciting. I've done Pinnacle Book Awards. I've placed first place on those. I'm trying to think what else I've done. I think I did Main Crest Media.
What's Pinnacle Book Awards?
Pinnacle Book Awards is another award program, and they have several categories. And you submit your book just like with any of these other ones, and they look at it and they award you, you know, if you win one of the categories. I don't, you know, I haven't done that one in a long time, so I'd have to look and see if it's still a thing. But yeah, I should look into that for especially my last book that I've done. What else? I know Main Crest Media has awards. I've done that once, and I did win as a finalist in that one. I can't think of any other ones. Purple Dragonfly, though, is the big one, and Reader's Favorite. Those are the two that I would recommend if you're a children's author. Well, any author really for the Reader's Favorite.
Yes. Yes, it's kind of nice to have that assurance that you're doing a great job, and you do a great job with your books always. They've been very wonderful. And they can they can buy all of your books on Amazon, I assume.
Yes, Amazon, Barnes and Noble, any place books are sold. My website is sherryellis.org. But anywhere books are sold, you'll find them.
Good. Well, thank you for being our guest today. And we really wish you the very best success in all of your future endeavors as well.
Thank you so much. It was great being here.
Thanks.
You've been listening to Picture Books Are Precious with Terrie Sizemore. To hear more inspiring stories and practical advice from the world of children's publishing, be sure to follow the show and join us again next time.